Hey there and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something that quietly shapes almost everything around us: narrative intelligence. What is it? Well, it's our built-in ability to learn, to figure things out, and to influence each other. And it's all done through the incredible power of stories. So, let's just kick things off with a pretty big question. What if the most powerful weapon in the world isn't a weapon at all? What if it's a story? The material we're digging into today makes a very strong case that this isn't just some philosophical idea. It's a very real, very powerful strategy. All right, so how does this actually work in the real world? Let's break down how a narrative can be used with almost surgical precision. And trust me, we are not talking about bedtime stories here. This is all about strategic influence.
This isn't just random messaging. It's a straight-up six-step playbook. First, you slice up a population into different groups. Then, you figure out which of those groups is most open to new ideas. After that, you map out how they all talk to each other, how information spreads. You study the stories they already believe, and only then do you carefully design and launch your new narrative, watching it constantly and tweaking it as you go.
Okay, to really get this, we need to understand two key terms: fabula and sujet. The fabula, that's just the raw facts, the sequence of events: A happened, then B, then C. It's the what. But the sujet, oh, that's where the magic is. The sujet is the how. It's the framing, the tone, the perspective, the parts you emphasize and the parts you leave out. The power isn't in the story, it's in the telling of the story. So why does this work so incredibly well on us? Why does the how, the sujet, have so much power over our minds? Well, the answer isn't a weakness. It's actually baked right into the wiring of our brains. Take a look at this. It's a simplified look at how our brain takes in information. A stimulus comes in, it gets our attention, hangs out in our working memory for a bit, and maybe, just maybe, it gets filed away in long-term memory. A powerful narrative is like a VIP pass in this system. It's designed to skip the line, to bypass our critical filters, and embed an idea directly into our long-term beliefs, shaping how we think and decide things later on. And that's really the key here. Our brains are wired for efficiency. They absolutely love shortcuts to make sense of the world. And a good story is the ultimate cognitive shortcut. It wraps up complex ideas in a simple, emotional package that's easy to remember. But that very efficiency is also a vulnerability, a backdoor that these narrative strategies are built to exploit. So, if you're going to build a story that actually sticks, you can't just guess. You have to understand your audience's core values, what makes them tick. And that's where this next framework comes in. It's a powerful way of mapping out entire belief systems. This is known as the spiral of V-memes. Now, V-memes is just a way of saying value systems. Think of this as a map of how human values evolve and are expressed. Instead of chopping people up by simple demographics like age or income, this tool groups them by their deepest motivations and how they see the world. It's a genuine map of belief. The spiral kicks off with what are called the survival tiers. It starts with beige, which is pure instinct, food, water, safety. Then comes purple, where safety is found in the tribe, in a world of spirits and ancient rituals. And then, bam, red explodes onto the scene. This is the rise of the individual ego, the drive for power, dominance, think heroic conquerors and warrior myths. As societies get more complex, new value systems emerge to manage that complexity. Blue brings a need for order, for a higher purpose and absolute truth, giving us things like codes of law and organized faith. After that, orange emerges, with its drive for individual success, strategy, and scientific achievement. And finally, you get green, which rises in response to orange, prioritizing community, sensitivity, and equality for all. And here's what's so fascinating. The spiral isn't a straight ladder up. It zigzags back and forth, like a pendulum. It swings between expressed self-values that are all about the me, like the raw power of red and the ambition of orange, and then it swings back to sacrifice self-values focused on the we, like the safety of the purple tribe, the order of blue, and the community of green. It's this constant dance between the individual and the collective. Okay, so now we've got the six-step strategy, the how, and we've got this incredible framework for understanding the audience, the who. So now let's put the two pieces together and see the whole playbook come to life. And right here, this is the big aha moment. On the left, you've got the spiral. That's the who. It's your map to understanding what a group of people truly value. On the right, you've got the how, that offensive strategy we started with. You use the spiral to identify a group's core beliefs, which then lets you design the perfect narrative that will connect with them on a deep emotional level and displace any competing stories. So this lets us define what a strategic narrative really is. It's not just a message or a slogan. It's a big, high-level story that actually frames reality. It works by skillfully weaving your values into the stories and values that an audience already holds, creating a powerful emotional connection that's incredibly hard to break. And in case you think this is all just high-level theory, take a look at this. It's called the Influence Vortex, and it's a real-world operational playbook. It maps out every single detail of a campaign, from the overarching story all the way down to the specific linguistic patterns you need to use. This is influence treated as a repeatable, manageable process.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, once you understand these mechanics, it gives you a whole new lens for looking at the world. You start to see the hidden architecture behind the events you see playing out every day.
A really great way to visualize this is the iceberg model. Most of the time, we only see the very tip of the iceberg, the events that pop up in the news. But narrative intelligence is about seeing what's happening below the surface. Below the events are the patterns of behavior, and below that are the systemic structures that cause those patterns. And way down at the base, holding the whole thing up, that's the mental models, the core beliefs and narratives that shape everything above. So that's what this all boils down to. Narrative intelligence isn't just about telling good stories. It's about having the vision to see the whole iceberg. It's the skill of understanding that the events of today are really just the surface-level effects of deep, powerful, and often invisible narrative currents. And this quote from the source material just perfectly captures our modern world. It says, "All social media is one big, multi-perspective narrative argument between several tribes." Just think about your own feed for a second. It's not just a random collection of posts, is it? It's a battlefield of stories. It's a constant clash between different value tribes, each one fighting to make their version of reality the one that everyone else accepts. Look, knowing this playbook doesn't mean you have to use it, but it does mean you can recognize it when it's being used on you. It gives you the power to look beyond the surface of a story and ask, okay, what's the structure here? What's the real goal? It gives you the ability to choose. So the final question isn't just about what you believe, it's about why you believe it. What story will you choose to see?